You ever get that feeling where you're looking at your electric bill and you'd swear the utility company thinks you're running a small aluminum smelter in your garage?
Tiger, you are running a small smelter in your garage, and a kiln, and three dust collectors that sound like jet engines. I'm surprised the neighborhood doesn't brown out when you turn on the lathe.
It's a burden, Alex. But lately, I've been looking up at the roof of the shop, seeing all that free Georgia sunshine just bouncing off the shingles, and I started thinking, I'm basically throwing away fuel. So I went down the rabbit hole. Solar. Not just a light in the garden solar, but real tool-turning juice.
Oh boy. Whenever you say rabbit hole, it usually ends with me helping you haul 300 pounds of lead-acid batteries or you almost grounding yourself to a gutter. Are we talking about taking the den off-grid, or are we just flirting with a few panels?
We're talking the whole kit and caboodle. But here's the thing. Everyone thinks solar is this mystical space-age magic that requires a PhD in physics. In reality, it's just plumbing with electrons. You've got your source, your bucket to catch it in, and the faucet that lets it out.
Okay, let's start with the bucket, because that's where most people get tripped up. Do I actually need batteries? If I just want to run my drill press while the sun is out, can I just wire it straight to a panel?
Don't ever do that. You'll fry the brains out of your tools. See, panels are moody. A cloud drifts by, and suddenly your voltage drops like a stone in a pond. Your motor starts groaning, things get hot, and you're suddenly in the market for a new motor. You need a system. The Core 4, panels to catch the light, a charge controller, which is basically the traffic cop, the battery bank to store the heat, and the inverter to turn that DC battery juice into the AC power your shop vac craves.
So, the inverter is the translator. It takes that raw DC battery talk and turns it into the household language my tools understand. But let's talk shop reality. If I want to run a table saw, a real 3 horsepower beast, how many panels are we talking? Am I covering my entire roof or just a corner?
That's where the math bites you. And I'm not a math man, but I've learned that a table saw doesn't just use power, it demands a tribute. When you hit that switch, there's a massive surge. If your inverter's a lightweight, it'll just go click and give up the ghost right when the blade hits the wood.
Which is exactly what happened when you tried to run that antique bandsaw off your truck battery, wasn't it?
I told you we weren't going to bring up the Great Fuse Link incident of 2019. But yeah, lesson learned. You have to size the system for the startup load, not just the running load. It's like trying to push a car. It takes a lot of grunt to get it rolling, but once it's moving, you can keep it going with a finger.
So let's break down the panels. I see these ads for high-efficiency monocrystalline panels that cost a fortune, and then these cheaper blue ones. Is it worth the extra scratch for the fancy ones?
It's all about the real estate. If you've got a massive barn roof, buy the cheaper poly panels. They're less efficient, meaning they take up more space to make the same power, but they're easier on the wallet. But if you're like me, and your shop roof is the size of a postage stamp, you need those black monocrystalline panels. They squeeze more blood from the turnip per square inch.
And what about the grid tie versus off-grid debate? I know a lot of people want to sell power back to the electric company, but for a workshop, is that even practical?
Grid tie is great for your house because you have net metering. The meter literally spins backward. But for a shop, if the grid goes down, a standard grid tie system shuts off too. It's a safety thing, so you don't electrocute the lineman working on the wires down the street. For a workshop, I'm a fan of a hybrid or off-grid setup. I want my lights to stay on even if the rest of the county's in the dark.
Let's talk about the mounting. I've seen people just screw panels directly into their shingles with some caulk and a prayer. That makes me nervous.
It should. A solar panel is basically a giant sail. You get a 40-mile-an-hour gust under a poorly mounted panel, and your roof becomes a kite. You need proper racking. And here's the bit people miss. Airflow. Panels get hot. If they can't breathe, their efficiency drops. You want a couple of inches of air gap underneath so they don't cook themselves.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the batteries. This seems to be the biggest expense and the biggest headache. Lead acid versus lithium? I know you have thoughts.
I used to be a lead acid guy. Cheap, reliable, heavy as a dead horse, but you can only use half the power in them. If you drain a lead acid battery past 50%, you're basically killing it. It's like having a gallon of gas, but the car stops running when the tank is half full.
And lithium?
Lithium is the future, Alex. You can drain them down to 10% or 20% without hurting them. They weigh a fraction of the lead ones. But, and this is a big but, they don't like the cold. You try to charge a lithium battery when it's below freezing in your shop, and you might as well be throwing your money into the wood stove.
So, if I'm building a solar den, I need a heated box for my batteries?
Or just keep them in a conditioned space. But that leads to the next thing, wire gauge. This is where I see the most shop fires starting. People use extension cord wire for a 200 amp battery bank. The wire gets so hot, it starts to smell like a backyard barbecue, and not the good kind. You need fat, chunky cables. If it isn't the thickness of your thumb, you're probably doing it wrong for the big stuff.
Thickness of your thumb, truly the gold standard of Tiger engineering. But seriously, how do we calculate how much we actually need? If I have a light, a sander, and a radio, what's the starting point?
You do a load audit. You look at the little sticker on the back of every tool. It tells you the watts. You multiply that by how many hours you use it. If your shop light is 50 watts and you leave it on for 4 hours, that's 200 watt hours. Do that for everything, add it up, then double it. Because the sun doesn't shine every day, and efficiency is a fickle mistress.
So if my total is 2,000 watt hours a day,
Then you want a battery bank that can hold at least 4,000 and panels that can generate 2,000 even on a cloudy Tuesday in November. It sounds like a lot, but once it's set up, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, as satisfying as hearing your table saw scream knowing that the fuel is coming from 93 million miles away for free.
I have to admit, the idea of a silent power source is appealing. No generator hum, no utility bill creeping up. But what's the one mistake you see every beginner make? The one that makes you want to put your head in a vice?
Buying a cheap modified sine wave inverter.
Sounds like a math rock band. Why is it bad?
It's dirty power. A standard outlet gives you a smooth, beautiful wave of electricity. A cheap inverter gives you a jagged, blocky, square wave. Modern tools, anything with a digital display or a variable speed trigger, they hate it. They'll hum, they'll run hot, or they'll just quit. Spend the extra $50 and get a pure sine wave inverter. Your tools will thank you by not exploding.
Good to know. So, big picture. If I'm a weekend warrior, is this actually a cost-saving measure, or is this just a really expensive hobby?
Honestly, if you're just trying to save money on your bill, it takes a few years to break even. But that's not why we do it. We do it for the independence. When the grid goes down and the whole neighborhood is sitting in the dark, I'm in here finishing a dovetail joint with the radio playing. It's about not being tethered.
And the bragging rights. Don't forget the bragging rights.
Well, yeah, telling the neighbor that my birdhouse was built using 100% star power, that's a pretty good feeling.
So, the takeaway for today? Start small. Maybe just a panel and a portable power station to run your chargers and lights, and see how it feels before you start cladding your entire shop in silicon.
Exactly. Don't try to power the whole world on day one. Just try to power your peace of mind. Get a small setup, learn how the electrons flow, and I promise you, you'll never look at a sunny day the same way again. You won't just see light, you'll see potential.
Well said. Just maybe let me check your wiring before you flip the master switch on the new array.
Probably a wise move. I still have a bit of a singe on my eyebrows from the last time I estimated a fuse size.
Thanks for joining us in the den. Now go build something and maybe catch some rays while you're at it.